My name is Jeremy with the American Gun Association. In this video, we're going to be talking about basic field strip of rifle and pistol. All right, the purpose of any field strip, whether it's pistols, rifles, or shotgun, is to clean, is to lubricate, or to make minor repairs. All right, guys, I'm just going to go over a couple of tools of the trade. The only things you really need to clean your pistol or your rifle or whatever it is some good oil, guys. We have everything else that we need, pretty much. The only thing that you don't need an extensive cleaning kit is what I'm getting at. A couple things you will find inside of a cleaning kit. This is for multiple calibers. So what you really need is you need something to punch the bore. The bore is the interior of the barrel. It's going to be the size of the diameter of the bullet. So your caliber, basically. So buy a caliber appropriate size bore brush. If it says bore oil, bore brush, again, that's all for the inside of the barrel. Right? Chamber brush is for the chamber, right, from the front of the firing pin to the back of the barrel. That's the chamber. All right, a good brush. I use this scraper for the hard stuff with the rifle. If you don't clean your pistol for, it's a while and it builds up the carbon, you may need to scrape it. So that's always a good tool to have. And then the bore snake. These are time savers, guys. You can throw those through a pistol, you can throw those through a rifle, and they'll clean the inside of the barrel again, right? The inside of the bore. All right. A couple other things people ask me all the time: how often should I clean my gun? There's a lot of Glock enthusiasts that say their gun likes to run dry. It's a personal opinion. I clean my gun every single time. I clean the rifles every single. These are rental guns. Clean your rifle, clean your pistol every time you shoot it, and you want your gun to operate in the best condition possible, and that's clean and that's lubricated. All right, so take your time. Every time you shoot, take your time and clean it. Another common mistake that I see with a lot of new gun owners is they'll show up to the range, they've got their brand new Glock or their Ruger or whatever it is. It comes with 2 shiny new magazines, and they'll be loaded completely all the way down, which is fine. But when it sits there for months on end, what you're going to do is you're going to end up stressing your spring out. So I just recommend maybe keeping one fully loaded, the other one half loaded. To the end of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can take and you can just swap them out, right, to keep the springs fresh. Right? And your springs will last forever. Your magazines will last forever. Clean your magazines as well. At the bottom you'll find those holes with the nipples in there. Just push those in, and that comes forward. The followers and the springs will come out. Right? Before we field strip anything, you have to make sure that first it's unloaded, safety first. And if you notice, I brought 2 different pistols. These are not specific how-tos, how to break a Glock apart, how to break an SR22 apart. This is a general how to clean a pistol, lubricate it, and put it back together with a functions check. Right? So the first things you'll notice on semi-automatics that they all have similar characteristics. Got a magazine release here, and some Walthers it'll be down here. Magazine release right here, same spot. If it has a safety, it's going to be right here. This one doesn't have a safety because it's not right here. They don't hide safeties. You can see here our slide lock. This is how we lock our slide to the rear. This is how we lock our slide to the rear. And then if you look forward to that, to the left, we have our notch, our takedown notch. And we have a takedown lever. Some pistols will have a takedown pin. They're all the same. They're all in the same area. So once we do that, we need to make it safe by removing the magazine. I've just removed the source of ammunition. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be one in the chamber, though. So we need to lock our slide back with our slide locks. Lock back. Observe the chamber. Check the chamber. Make sure the chamber is empty. Slide lock. Make sure the chamber is empty. Now we've identified that it's empty. Depending on what the pistol is, you should resort to the user manual as to the steps to take it apart. The Glock is fairly simple. We put the slide back forward now that we know that it's empty. And just make sure it is empty. Any gun is empty because most guns, or some guns, require you to pull the trigger to take it apart, like the Glock. So we're going to depress the trigger. I'm going to change my grip from a shooting stance to take it apart. With my index finger with my thumb, pull back. There's pins on either side. I'm going to hold them both down at the same time. I'm going to release, and I'm going to push forward. That'll take the slide off. This gun is a little different. We're going to send it forward. This one has a takedown lever. Unload that. This barrel is also welded to the frame of the gun, so I'm going to pull back, pull up, and forward. We can notice some more similar characteristics. We've got the spring, a recoil spring, and our recoil spring. All right. This one, the barrel is mounted to the frame. This barrel is in the slide. So basically 4 components to a pistol, any pistol. It may vary slightly, but we've got the frame, we've got the slide, we've got our recoil springs, and we have our barrel. All right, once we've taken it all apart, what we need to do now is we need to clean it, break up some of the carbon, some of the brass shavings. So the first thing we do is get a little bit of gun oil. I use an all-in-one cleaner. It cleans it and it lubricates it. I'm going to put a little bit on my finger. I'm just going to apply it to the inside of the slide everywhere I can. Let that sit for a little while. Same thing with the barrel. Clean the spring and the frame. All right, once I've got oil all applied, let it sit for a little while. Once I've got that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an old t-shirt or some patches or whatever you have. It's going to scrub all the carbon off anywhere you can reach it. It's important that you get it all scrubbed off, and I'm just going to mock it today for time's sake. Especially down in here, anything you can use, Q-tips, pipe cleaners, anything that can reach down in here. We don't want to take this stuff apart. This is for a gunsmith to take apart, or if you've been to an armor course that's specific to that pistol. Same thing. So once we've got it all clean, we've got it all dry, we get that towel, we wipe it dry, so everything's all clean and all dry. Basically what we're going to do, and it's important to clean the inside of the barrel. Inside the barrel, if you hold it up to any kind of light, you'll find the spiraling, right, the rifling. What's inside of there, they're called lands and grooves. We have high points and we have low points. And when you shoot enough, all those low points, those grooves, will become filled with carbon, and they'll become just as flush as the high points, and you lose that spiraling effect. You lose accuracy and you lose distance in turn. So it's very important that you punch the bore and get something in there, back and forth, and then inspect it. Make sure that there's no fouling or built up carbon inside the barrel. Once we have it all clean, we have it all dry, we get that same oil. Since I use an all-in-one cleaner, put a little bit on my finger and I apply a light coat. Everything on the inside, especially where metal and metal contact will come through. Spring, it's important that you get the guide rods, guide rails. Same thing on every pistol. This is common to every pistol. And then since we know how to take it apart, we know how to put it back together because we're going to do everything in reverse order. Last thing I took out here was the barrel. I'm going to put that in. This should just slide back into place, just like that. If you're forcing anything, you're doing something wrong or something upside down or backwards. So it should just fall back into place. Put our recoil spring back in. And then basically we're checking for, see if it's in crooked or not low enough or anything like that. From the back we have these cuts here and here. We've got our rails starting here on this pistol. So that's where we're going to start. The Glocks will lock back themselves. Once I have it all the way back, I can let it go and it's locked into place. A functions check, real quick. Obviously it's unloaded. We've already checked that. We're going to make sure that the trigger pulls. Make sure the trigger resets and pulls again. All right. Very simple. This one, last thing I took out was the spring. You'll notice the spring has a closed end and an open end. That's pretty common to most pistols. The guide rod's always going to go in that closed end or it won't stay on. All right. This pistol's a little bit different. So it was all clean, it was all dry. I put a light level of lubrication. I'm going to put it all the way back, pull the hammer down, it slides back onto place. We'll slide it forward, and since this one has a latch, that's the first thing I took off, that's the last thing I'll put back on. We'll latch that into place. This has a safety, and this gun also needs a magazine to operate. So I put the safety off, make sure it's off, make sure it shoots in double action. It shoots in single action. It decocks. And the safety does work. It's a functions check. Make sure it resets. and it shoots again. All right. After that, you can get that old t-shirt, that wipe cloth, wipe off any excess oil. All that's going to do is attract dust and dirt and make it hard to manipulate. All right, and there you have 2 semi-automatics, field strip, cleaned and lubricated. All right, we're going to go over a brief field cleaning and stripping of the M4. Remember, field stripping has 2 main purposes, cleaning and lubricating. The third purpose would be to make minor repairs or to find out what is wrong with it. So the first thing we're going to do here is going to remove the source of ammunition, which is found on the opposite side. We're going to push and pull. I'm sure that there could still be one in the chamber. So what we're going to do now, we're going to hold down here, pull back on the charging handle, visually check the chamber, make sure it's empty, and it is. I'm going to send that back forward, make sure it's on safe, and we're just going to take down 1 pin today. We're going to push the pin in here. The opposite side we're going to pull up. We're going to break it down shotgun style. From here we can see the buffer tube and spring, see the trigger assembly. Pull back the charging handle, take out the bolt carrier group and the charging handle itself. Alright, so inside the bolt carrier group we've got the firing pin retaining pin, we've got the bolt itself and the bolt retaining pin. So pull that firing pin retaining pin out. That'll release the firing pin. I'm going to push this forward, turn this, pull up. That will release the bolt. Right. Bolt carrier group, bolt, firing pin retaining pin, and the bolt pin, the charging handle. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lubricate just to break up the hard stuff. So again, I use an all-in-one cleaner to make things simple. Same thing on everything. You'll find the hardest buildup on the bolt itself. You can use a pick or a scrape to get that hard stuff off. Take your time with it. Once we have that, we can get the old toothbrush or an AP brush, whatever you have at your disposal, old t-shirt. You can buy an extensive cleaning kit, but you don't really need it. Just need to buy yourself some good gun oil. And scrape all that hard stuff off. Clean it very well. Same thing here. Same thing on your charging handle itself. Firing pin. Inside the trigger group. Get firing pin. You can get Q-tips. We don't want, the one thing that I see a lot of people do is release their trigger like this. You need to hold it. You don't want to crack it. You don't want to dry fire it when it's in this position here. You can end up damaging your rifle. And scrape on the inside with everything that you can. With any tool that you can. Same thing with your buffer tube. And spring. Once we have everything nice and clean and all dry, we're going to do the same thing we did with the pistol. We're going to leave a light coat of lubrication everywhere. All right, and that's on everything. And again, I'm not cleaning it for time purposes. You guys can take your time cleaning it. All right, same thing all the way through here. Bolt carrier group nice and oiled. You can't put too much oil. If you do find yourself leaking outside the receivers, you can just wipe it off a little bit. All right, so everything in reverse order. Put my back in the buffer tube. Push it all the way until it clicks into place. We're going to put our bolt back. There are two sides to this. There's a small side and there's a large side. Make sure that large side is facing up, or you just won't get it in. Like I said earlier in the pistol video, if you're forcing something, you're doing something wrong. Turn that back sideways so we can get the firing pin back in. And then make sure we retain the firing pin with its pin back in. All right, if you applied enough lubrication, if you cleaned it well enough, it'll fly back out like that. Hit it back in, fly back out. It should go out with ease. So we have that. You want to punch our bore, just like I said with the pistols. We have rifling inside the barrel, the lands and grooves, high points and low points. We don't want any fouling in the low points because we're going to lose accuracy, we're going to lose distance at that point. You can go to any store, buy yourself a bore snake. Just going to feed that through the barrel. We're just going to pull it out the other end several times until we achieve, the amount of cleanliness that we want in our rifle. Once we have that, put the charging handle back in. The easiest way to do it is put it all the way in, keep a little pressure up, drag it back nice and slow until we find the sweet spot. Keep it out so we can accept the bolt carrier group. The one thing you have to watch out for is you have to have your bolt all the way out. It cannot be in. It won't go back into place. So again, we're going to pull that out. That gas tube. Push it in. It'll lock into place. The first thing I did was pull the pin out on one side. Put it back in. Safe. Make sure your safety's working. Your safety's not working when it's on fire. Make sure it resets. That's it. I get a lot of questions when people first buy their AR. They think it's broken when it doesn't go back on safe. That's a quick fix. You just pull the charging handle back. You can put it on safe at that point. All right. That's field stripping a rifle. Again, if there's anything on the outside, you would just clean that off because all it's going to do is attract dust and dirt. All right, so pistols, rifles, firearms in general are a lot of fun. They're also used for self-protection, so we need to keep our guns in top working order. You want to stack the odds in your favor. A malfunction is not in your favor. So clean the gun, lubricate the gun, and go out and have some fun. Again, my name is Jeremy with American Gun Association and On Target Austin. This was our video on field stripping and cleaning. If you liked it, you can visit our Facebook page or our website, gunassociation.org.